Have you stepped on the scale lately, felt a wave of pride as the number dropped, only to realize later that same day that getting out of your favorite armchair felt significantly harder than it did 6 months ago? Or maybe you have been strictly cutting calories to protect your heart, but suddenly you are feeling unsteady on your feet and exhausted by early afternoon. It is a terrifying, frustrating feeling when your body stops cooperating, especially when you think you are doing everything exactly right by eating less. But what if I told you that the very diets you have been sold for decades are secretly stripping away your freedom? Welcome back to our community, where we open the vault on the hidden truths of aging and health that conventional medicine often overlooks. Today, we are talking about a massive, dangerous misconception. We have been brainwashed to believe that shrinking our bodies is always healthier. But after the age of 65, traditional dieting is actually the fastest way to lose your physical independence. The hidden culprit here is that your body's metabolic priorities completely flip as you age, shifting from a younger body's need to prevent obesity to an older body's desperate need to preserve lean mass and structural integrity. We are going to walk through exactly why this happens, the mainstream traps to avoid, and precisely what you should be doing instead to build an unbreakable, resilient body. I promise that by the end of this conversation, you will have a completely new toolkit for eating that prioritizes your strength, your mobility, and your freedom. Before we dive into the deep science, let's take a quick moment to connect. Where in the world are you watching from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below, and consider subscribing to our Vault of Health Truths, because we regularly uncover the kind of life-saving senior health strategies you need to thrive. Let us start by looking at the most dangerous thief of your daily strength, which is the severe muscle wasting caused by shrinking your meals. When we diet, we usually cut portion sizes across the board, which inadvertently slashes our protein intake to dangerously low levels. In our younger years, our bodies were highly sensitive to whatever little protein we gave them. But older bodies develop a condition called anabolic resistance. This means your muscles literally become stubborn and refuse to maintain themselves unless they are hit with a large, concentrated dose of amino acids. A landmark study published in the Journals of Gerontology found that older adults require at least 30 to 40% more dietary protein than younger adults just to maintain muscle equilibrium, and those on calorie-restricted diets lost lean muscle mass 3 times faster than those eating at maintenance. Imagine you are trying to maintain a beautiful, historic brick house, but the delivery trucks simply stop bringing new bricks. Eventually, the walls are going to crumble when a storm hits. That storm is aging, and your muscles are the brick house. If you are eating a tiny bowl of oatmeal for breakfast and a small side salad for lunch, you are starving your structural integrity. The fix is remarkably simple, but requires a mindset shift. Instead of focusing on what to remove from your plate, you must focus on what to add. You need to anchor every single meal with at least 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein, such as a generous piece of fish, 3 whole eggs, or a substantial serving of Greek yogurt to force those stubborn muscles to stay strong. Moving right along, we have to talk about the silent structural collapse happening beneath your skin when you restrict your food intake. Most people think of dieting purely in terms of fat loss, but they completely ignore the catastrophic impact chronic caloric deficits have on bone density. When you consistently eat less energy than you burn, your body panics and starts shutting down non-essential processes. And unfortunately, maintaining heavy, mineral-dense bone tissue is one of the first things it compromises. A comprehensive trial published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed older adults on a moderate weight loss diet and discovered that even a mild caloric deficit led to a clinically significant 2 to 3% decrease in bone mineral density in the hip and lower spine over just 1 year. That is the kind of rapid bone thinning that drastically increases your risk of a shattered hip from a simple trip on the rug. Picture a sturdy, ancient oak tree that looks perfectly fine on the outside, but inside, the core has become dry, brittle, and spongy, ready to snap in the first strong wind. That is what a chronic diet does to a senior skeleton. Your bones are not static scaffolding. They are living, breathing tissue that requires massive amounts of energy, calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D to constantly rebuild themselves. If you want to stay out of a wheelchair, you must stop starving your skeleton. Shift your focus away from restrictive calorie counting and toward absolute nutrient density by eating robust, energy-rich meals filled with dark leafy greens and fatty fish. Another devastating trap we need to dismantle is the lingering ghost of the low-fat diet craze that still haunts so many older adults today. We were told for decades to fear fat, to choose the skinless chicken breast, the fat-free dressings, and the dry toast to protect our hearts. But after 65, heavily restricting dietary fat is akin to chemically castrating your brain and your hormones. Your brain is composed of nearly 60% fat, and it relies on a steady stream of dietary lipids to repair cell membranes and maintain the protective sheaths around your nerves. Furthermore, cholesterol and fats are the foundational precursors to your crucial hormones, which are essential for muscle maintenance and joint lubrication. A rigorous longitudinal study published in the journal Neurology demonstrated that older adults who consumed diets severely restricted in healthy fats had a staggering 42% higher risk of accelerated cognitive decline and physical frailty compared to those consuming high amounts of monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. Imagine trying to drive a vintage, high-performance automobile cross-country, but refusing to put a single drop of oil in the engine because you want to keep the car light. The engine is going to seize up, the gears will grind, and the journey will abruptly end in smoke. That friction is exactly what happens in your joints and your neural pathways when you banish fat from your plate. It is time to welcome fat back to the table with open arms. Pour extra virgin olive oil generously over your vegetables. Eat the whole egg with the yolk, snack on walnuts, and enjoy fatty cuts of wild-caught salmon to lubricate your mobility. Now, let us pivot to the exact opposite end of the spectrum and look at the modern obsession with cutting carbohydrates, which is quietly draining the explosive life force right out of our seniors. With the rise of extremely low-carb diets, many older adults are terrified of potatoes, rice, and fruit. But carbohydrates are your body's preferred premium fuel for high-intensity, explosive movements, the exact kind of fast-twitch movements you need to catch yourself if you stumble, or to push yourself up out of a deep bathtub. When you aggressively cut carbs, you deplete your muscles' glycogen stores, which is the stored energy your muscles pull from instantly when they need to work hard. A fascinating paper in the journal Sports Medicine evaluated the physical performance of older adults on low-carbohydrate regimens and found that glycogen-depleted seniors experienced up to a 30% drop in their peak walking speed and a significant delay in their physical reaction times, directly multiplying their risk of devastating falls. Think of your muscles like a smartphone battery that has been permanently set to low power mode. The phone stays on, but the screen is dim, the apps load painfully slowly, and you cannot use the flashlight when you actually need it in the dark. You need that explosive energy to maintain your independence. Instead of fearing carbs, respect them as your body's vital movement fuel. Bring back the sweet potatoes, the quinoa, the steel-cut oats, and the colorful fruits to ensure that when your brain tells your legs to move quickly, they have the powerful fuel required to obey instantly. If you are finding these hidden truths eye-opening and helpful so far, please take a quick second to give this video a thumbs up. It helps us get this vital information to other seniors who might be unknowingly dieting away their physical freedom. Now, let us dive right back into the science. We really need to talk about another incredibly popular trend that is wrecking senior mobility, and that is intermittent fasting, or strictly delaying meals to cut calories. Skipping breakfast or cramming all your meals into a tiny 4-hour window might help a 30-year-old shed a few pounds, but for a body over 65, prolonged fasting is a one-way ticket to severe muscle wasting. When you go for 14 or 16 hours without eating, your body eventually runs out of dietary energy. Because an older body is highly prone to survival mechanisms, it will start breaking down your own precious muscle tissue to convert those amino acids into glucose for your brain. A critical study published in the journal Clinical Nutrition revealed that older adults who routinely fasted for more than 14 hours a day experienced a 15% acceleration in age-related muscle loss and a profound decrease in grip strength compared to those who ate evenly spaced meals. Imagine leaving your car idling in the driveway overnight, but instead of burning gasoline, the engine begins melting down its own rubber hoses and fan belts just to keep the pistons firing. You are literally cannibalizing the very muscles that keep you out of a nursing home. To stop this self-destruction, you need to break the fast early and provide your body with safety signals. Make it a non-negotiable habit to eat a nutrient-dense, protein-rich meal within 1 hour of waking up in the morning to flip the switch in your metabolism from breaking down muscle to building it up. The next trap on our journey is the devastating micronutrient famine that inevitably accompanies smaller portions. When you eat less food to lose weight, you are also eating fewer vitamins, minerals, and essential cofactors that run the invisible machinery of your nervous system. One of the most critical casualties of dieting in older age is vitamin B12. As we age, our stomach acid naturally decreases, making it harder to extract B12 from our food to begin with. When you compound that natural decline with a diet that restricts food volume, you are walking straight into a neurological crisis. Research published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that nearly 20% of seniors on calorie-restricted diets developed a subclinical vitamin B12 deficiency, which directly caused peripheral neuropathy, that tingling, numb sensation in the feet, and dramatically impaired their balance and proprioception. Picture the electrical wiring in a beautifully lit house being slowly chewed away by mice. The lights start to flicker, the security system fails, and eventually the whole house goes dark. That wiring is your nervous system, and B12 is the protective insulation. Without it, you cannot feel the ground properly beneath your feet, making every step a gamble. If your food volume is naturally lower due to an aging appetite, every single bite must be packed with life-saving micronutrients. Focus heavily on bioavailable sources of B12 and iron, such as high-quality red meat, eggs, and fortified nutritional yeast to preserve your nervous system. Let us move to a point that usually shocks people, and that is the aggressive blanket recommendation to severely restrict salt and sodium to lose water weight and lower blood pressure. While severe hypertension absolutely requires medical management, the militant push for ultra-low sodium diets in the general senior population is causing severe hidden damage. Sodium is an essential electrolyte required for muscle contractions, nerve impulses, and maintaining healthy blood volume. When seniors try to eat clean and cut out all salt, they often develop a condition called hyponatremia, where the blood sodium levels drop dangerously low. An alarming report in the Archives of Internal Medicine showed that aggressive sodium restriction in otherwise healthy older adults increased the incidence of symptomatic hyponatremia, leading to dizziness, confusion, and a terrifying 30% increase in hospitalizations due to unexpected fainting and severe falls. Imagine an orchestra completely ready to play a beautiful symphony, but the conductor has been locked out of the theater. The musicians have the instruments, but there is no signal telling them when to play, resulting in chaotic noise. Sodium is the conductor of your electrical system, and when it is gone, your blood pressure can drop drastically when you stand up, making the room spin. Unless you have been explicitly directed by your cardiologist for severe heart failure, you need to stop fearing the salt shaker and salt your wholesome, home-cooked foods to taste so your footing remains solid. We also have to uncover the truth about collagen and connective tissue, which are heavily punished by standard weight loss diets. When people restrict calories to shrink their bodies, they almost always restrict the specific heavy proteins needed to maintain their ligaments, tendons, and cartilage. We worry so much about muscle and bone, but the connective tissues are the hinges that hold your entire physical frame together. As you age, your body's natural collagen production falls off a cliff, leading to stiff, painful joints, and dieting exacerbates this by denying your body the raw amino acids needed to lubricate these hinges. A fascinating double-blind study in the journal Osteoarthritis and Cartilage revealed that older adults who maintained a maintenance diet while supplementing with specific collagen peptides experienced a massive 40% reduction in activity-related joint pain and significantly improved knee joint mobility compared to those on a standard restricted diet. Think of an old suspension bridge. The steel cables holding the bridge up are your tendons and ligaments. If you stop doing maintenance and let the cables fray and rust, it does not matter how strong the concrete pillars are, the bridge is going to collapse. Incorporating a daily cup of rich traditional bone broth or adding a scoop of high-quality, unflavored collagen peptides to your morning coffee provides the exact amino acid profile required to oil your hinges and keep you walking pain-free. Now, let us tackle the dangerous deception of chasing the number on the scale through fluid manipulation. Many dieting seniors inadvertently dehydrate themselves because they reduce their intake of water-rich foods or actively limit fluids so they weigh less at the doctor's office. But chronic, mild dehydration in older adults is a catastrophic mobility killer. As we age, our natural thirst mechanism becomes blunted, meaning you can be dangerously dehydrated before your brain ever tells you to drink. A comprehensive study from the University of California highlighted that even mild dehydration of just 2% of body weight in older adults decreases muscle endurance by up to 15% and drastically reduces the shock-absorbing fluid inside your spinal discs and knee joints, making every movement painful. Picture a dry, crusty kitchen sponge that has been sitting on the counter for days. If you try to bend it, it will crack and tear. But if you soak it in water, it becomes plump, pliable, and resilient. Your spinal discs and knee cartilage are exactly like that sponge, and when you are dehydrated, you are forcing dry, brittle tissues to absorb the heavy impact of your daily life. Stop looking at the scale and start looking at your hydration by proactively drinking fluids throughout the day, perhaps enhanced with a squeeze of fresh lemon and a tiny pinch of sea salt, long before you actually feel thirsty. Finally, we must expose the psychological poison that dieting injects into your biology, which is the chronic stress and the subsequent cortisol spike. Constantly tracking calories, weighing yourself, restricting your favorite foods, and feeling guilt over a piece of bread puts your nervous system in a perpetual state of low-grade fight or flight. This psychological stress triggers your adrenal glands to pump out high levels of cortisol, a catabolic hormone whose primary job in high doses is to break down tissues for emergency energy. A fascinating study detailed in the journal Psychosomatic Medicine proved that chronic psychological stress related to strict dieting in older adults resulted in persistently elevated cortisol levels, which accelerated the breakdown of lean muscle tissue by up to 20% faster than those who practiced relaxed, joyful eating habits. Imagine your body is a life raft, and chronic dieting stress is a slow, hissing leak. You can paddle as hard as you want, with exercise and good intentions. But as long as that leak is there, you are slowly sinking. You have to patch the leak by changing your relationship with food entirely. Throw the bathroom scale in the garbage, stop viewing food as a math equation, and shift your mindset from deprivation to genuine nourishment, digesting your meals in a state of profound peace and gratitude. To wrap up this wealth of information we just explored, let us make it incredibly simple. Dieting and shrinking your body after 65 is a dangerous game that targets your muscle, your bones, and your nervous system. To protect your independence, you must flip the script. Anchor every meal with heavy doses of protein to stop muscle wasting. Feed your skeleton with dense, nutrient-rich calories. Embrace healthy fats for your brain and complex carbs for your explosive physical energy. Stop the intermittent fasting and eat shortly after waking. Ensure your micronutrients, especially B12 and sodium, are fully stocked. Oil your joints with collagen. Stay aggressively hydrated. And above all, eliminate the toxic stress of diet culture from your life entirely. Ultimately, the most important takeaway is that your physical destiny is still largely in your own hands. You do not have to accept weakness, frailty, or a loss of independence as a mandatory part of getting older. Your body is an incredibly resilient machine that desperately wants to heal, repair, and carry you through a vibrant life. But it absolutely cannot do that if you are starving it of the raw materials it needs to survive. You have the power to rebuild your strength, starting with your very next meal. Choose nourishment over restriction. Choose strength over shrinking. Choose your glorious, independent life over a meaningless number on a piece of plastic in your bathroom. I would love to hear from you now. What is one new, nourishing, whole food you are going to add to your plate this week to support your independence? Let us know down in the comments so we can all inspire each other. If this conversation opened your eyes today, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel because your health, your mobility, and your absolute freedom are worth fighting for. Until next time, stay strong, eat well, and keep pushing forward.